Yeah, welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Kalari GXC, along with my guest host here, Pixaley. Say hi, Pix.
Hello. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Now, as you know, I had to take last week off, y'all. Like I said, mental health matters, and I put out there what I say, and I mean what I say when I come to the point where if I'm feeling any sort of way towards a low, I'm not going to be in front of a camera trying to push through and fake the front. And I'm glad that I have friends and family that understand that, and people will follow me on social media and on YouTube and stuff that understand, and here on Twitch, of course, that sometimes Cal needs a bit of a detached break. And of course, Girl World didn't want to let me have that much of a break because the heifer decided to go at me. But when I did come back, I didn't just devote nonsense to that. I was able to talk about hip hop stuff, which when we do our podcast, we definitely will bring up a lot of music stuff. I hope you don't mind that.
Yeah. I'm excited for that because
yes.
I realize that you're want to do political. I'm just gonna say that I love both of your takes on What the Dirt and Deleted. And like the entire time I'm like, yes. Yes.
Because then DJ Academics weighed in on it and tried to string it again to it's just black Kendrick fans coming after this white man, and it's like he stepped out of pocket. You can appreciate our culture. I'm never saying that, and I didn't even mind him weighing in on the beef. It's when you count the N-word 37 times, when you assume that all black families use that vernacular, when you call black men out of their face, whether you're calling them an Uncle Ruckus or a Carlton, and then the stuff, I didn't even get to the stuff he said about Whitney as I listened to it playback, because I was just so mad about that. You don't weigh in on postpartum depression. You don't talk about somebody when you don't have those receipts. And you don't lay DV allegations against a man with no proper receipts. And he did all of that in a 2.5 hour video trying to stand for Drake. And that's when a lot of us record skips, because we don't care about people who like Drake's music and Family Matters, the whole LP. It's when you assume things about black people that it's too much. And it leads perfectly into this stuff. And I put your clip first because I have part of the Jen Psaki news thing on it. But North Carolina's been going through some things. I lived in North Carolina for a few years.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
From 2012 to about 2017, 5 years, I stayed in Durham and then Parkwood, North Carolina, in the Triangle. And I got to vote. Got Roy Cooper in, Josh Stein. They still send me stuff because I went really hard for their campaigns down there because I wanted anybody but McCrory. He did that weird trans bathroom bill, that HB bill that not only cost us the All-Star Game money, but was really awful for North Carolinians. So when I had the chance to help elect Roy Cooper and then AG Josh Stein, and I still get letters of thank you, even though it's like, I haven't lived in North Carolina in years, guys, but you're welcome. And I even said that I got help from Congressman, Senator Burr, when I needed help for a kiddo's passport, because I had issues with my ex. And in our country, if both parents are on the birth certificate, both parents have to co-sign on passports so it doesn't look like you're kidnapping your own kid. And we had wanted to go to Canada. And I was jumping through hoops because, I don't have contact with this man. This man is not in our lives. He's just on my son's birth certificate. I need help. And it was Senator Burr, who was a Republican, who knew I didn't vote for him because I put it in the letter that I wrote to him for help, still gave me an official document to where I could get to the diplomatic version of the passport place in D.C. And I didn't have to stand in line. The diplomatic area for passports is fucking lovely. And his letter helped get my son, who was then underage, his passport. So when I say I take politics seriously, no matter what state I'm in, and I know North Carolina politics, The Robinson thing trips me out because there's such lucrativity. It's lucrative for some black people to sell their souls to people like Trump and the GOP, but it always bites them in the ass. And I was so glad that you pulled this clip because I love Ralph Warnock. You know that I was a stand for him and John Ossoff. One of my favorite people on X, Condi, does a little story about her love triangle with them. Stick Condi, she calls it. These men were almost denied in Georgia their seat in Congress. Reverend Warnock, because he was a reverend, went up against Herschel Walker, who I get so mad that the GOP trotted that man out. Because you could see the cognitive decline from all the head stuff he took, playing football for a while. And the man is a football legend. But he will go down because the GOP wanted a black puppet in Georgia and didn't take into account the damage that would have been done to that man. So I was so proud when Georgia said, "Nah, you ain't gonna do that. We have this man who has his head on his shoulders in Reverend Warnock. And while we respect the ball game that Herschel Walker did, there's no way he can be a senator. They already fucked up with Tommy Tuberville in Memphis. Yeah. Not Memphis. Oh, what? Montgomery. He was in Alabama. Yeah. And replacing the man that literally got the 4 girls who were blown up in that church bombing that Martin Luther King and all of them had to march over in jail. You had a good attorney and you replaced him with Tommy Tuberville. Georgia seen that and was like, that can't be us. We can't make those same mistakes, Hey, Beans, good to see you, hon. And it is nationwide, but yeah, North Carolina, because that's where Muppet Green is based. They have this hyper fixation on trying to prove that they're good old South still. When I lived in North Carolina, it wasn't perfect, but they have very progressive towns. And it just bothers me to see that Robinson is being the voice for all of that. So let me play your clip and then I'll let you give your thoughts on this because I love Reverend Warnock and I think this is a great opening to our discussion on this before we get to the meat of dragging JD Vance because I got words for that idiot too.
You know who I'm going to ask you about? Mark Robinson, the Republican nominee for governor in North Carolina. As you well know, Donald Trump once referred to Robinson as Martin Luther King on steroids. I just want to know what you make of all of this.
He is white supremacy in blackface, as he talks about his desire to bring slavery back. I mean, this talk is way beyond the pale. Calling himself a black Nazi, these are his words. Donald Trump has a long history of this. He tried this in my race. This is not the first time he has put forward a black candidate who is unfit and unqualified to serve with the cynical notion that somehow the electorate will be confused about who this person represents. The people of North Carolina deserve better, and they're going to see through Mark Robinson just in the same way that the people of Georgia saw through my opponent.
Yep. And that was so perfect for Reverend Warnock to say that, Ralph Warnock, because they really thought that black people will just, and they're still doing it with Kamala. They just go, oh, it's because she's black, not because she's literally the most qualified to do this job as president. And then you had them try that with Herschel Walker because they thought we would just champion him because he was a football star and he had like idiots like Killer Mike and stuff who I tell people all the time, I love our culture. I love hip hop. I grew up with hip hop. But hip-hop will disappoint you in regards to politics all the time because you got the brothers who don't care, don't want to seem like they care, or when they do care, it's only about protecting their ends. And they'll throw us all under the bus for assholes like Trump, like Ye did. And he's his own pocket of problematic behavior. He might have good music, but I can't ignore some of the problematic behavior with him. And you got Ice Cube and all the rest of these motherfuckers just coming out the woodwork for a man who literally doesn't care about us. And like Ralph Warnock said, Mark Robinson has gone on the record talking about slavery coming back. And we saw in Florida where they literally want on the teaching curriculum that there was benefits to being slaves. And this is why I say knowing our history is so important, because if these motherfuckers could, they would take us back. And I ain't going to I said, I will channel Nat Turner. There will be rebellions here and in every 50 state from us motherfuckers, because we aren't our ancestors. We are the ones that survived. And we ain't going backwards. Point blank. But, I mean, I know you've lived in America and you spent time in the South. I can't imagine hearing that somebody like Mark Robinson would say something like that would make any sense at times. But I'm sure that you have seen people like Mark Robinson in the South. You know.
So without going too far into like personal stuff, I was raised in a very, very horrible religious situation where there was a caste system within the religion.
Yeah.
And the N-word was tossed around like water.
Yeah.
And it was very prevalent around where I grew up. And I knew from a very young age that I didn't ascribe to that. And anybody who had a darker skin tone than me was my equal. Period.
Yeah.
So as what I want to say as far as the whole Robinson thing is, a lot of people are looking at this from the perspective of, oh, he really should, do something about this and stuff. There's 2 points. First of all, he's the lieutenant governor. He should step down because so many people, like he's currently the lieutenant governor still.
Yeah.
Which means that he's still in office, which means that if something was to happen, he would be the one that would be promoted into that role. As
Agree. And Roy Cooper needs to do his job, not to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, it's all good. And to go along with that, look how many people, I believe it's up to 9 now. I think he's only got 3 staff members left.
Yeah.
They've all resigned within the last 72 hours.
Because nobody wants to work with any kind of Nazi, but especially not a black man calling himself a Nazi. Is weird.
And here is the kicker. If he actually was going to have any legal standing to go against anybody for defamation, libel, slander, whatever you want to, like, whatever his thing is going to choose to be, he would have proof that he was not the one doing it.
Yep.
He hasn't made a litigious statement. He has not come forward to say, I am going to sue.
No.
Because it is true and it has been proven and it is real. And the problem is people like Vance, who I really, really wish that he would get colonoscopy with an active volcano. And just saying, I know that that's just my choice. As a Canadian, I don't have any influence over where his plane flies.
Yeah.
Come on, Hawaii. Call him over.
Do us a solid.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, he infuriates me. And when he was pointedly asked specifically, do you believe it? He's like, I don't not believe it. I don't believe him, but I don't not believe him. Like,
double speak.
Can you talk out of both sides of your mouth at the same time?
I
have never seen a snake speak so eloquent English
and say nothing. And
exactly.
I will give Lindsey Graham a little bit of props because I don't feel him at all. Because he gets on my nerves. He is so wishy-washy. He said, if these are true, if these allegations are true, Mark Robinson, that's going to be a problem for you. But if CNN is lying on your name, it's going to be the biggest lawsuit he ever won. So at least Lindsey handled that better when they interviewed him because he's seen it. And he was appalled. And I love the fact that he can give that appalled face when I know personally he's probably said worse at this point in his tenured career as a politician and a man of the South. But even he had to stop at the fact that, while Americans, we have our own insulated version of racism that the Nazis borrowed from. A lot of us had grandparents that fought in World War II against the Nazis and saw that atrocity. So while Lindsey Graham is probably down for like the South rising again, I don't think he's down for the Nazi stuff. And to hear a black man be pro-Nazi, whether he was on the forums that he thought he was safe enough to get away with that, it's fucked up.
Comments on porn.
Yes. I was
that was my biggest question is, how do you feel so comfortable on a porn site to be like, hey, let's talk about being a Nazi?
Child mess.
It's
but
porn.
What kills me is these are the same motherfuckers who act like they're the moral majority and they want to restrict women's rights. His wife is also allegedly in some financial trouble, so it's always about the grift. But they call themselves the moral authority in America, yet they're always the ones with the deviant shit in their closet. Constantly.
Yep.
And I don't care what kind of porn he watches. I'm not going to, like, make fun of him like I do, like, Wings of Redemption and shit. But it does freaking annoy me that a man that tries to hold himself as pious is on a porn site calling himself a black Nazi. In 2024, you're trying to make this shit make sense and you can't. You know?
Yeah, and his, the emails that were, the email address that is linked to this one small folder was linked to his Twitter.
Yep.
Was linked to his Facebook.
Yep.
It is linked to his current Instagram.
Yep.
Even though he changed his name, it's still the same email.
Because
the fact
I think
that he uses other terms like gag and maggot and stuff like that. He was using those on there, and he's using them openly on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook apparently as well. So, genius.
Not only that, but he's given like boomers a bad name for real when it comes to technology and digital trails, because he was so stupid to use his personal email for those accounts. And we have friends that do like data security and cyber security.
Yeah.
That are probably laughing their ass off. I know Nerfy could probably just be like, yeah, I would have found that in like a heartbeat because that's literally her wheelhouse. And it's just like these older people, and it's not all of y'all. Before you get mad at me, I know as a Gen Xer, everybody wants to get mad at us. We don't care. But I'm just saying boomer because that's Mr. Robinson's, Mr. Robinson, Eddie Murphy flashback, Mr. Robinson's age group, okay? And he does the same thing that my mom would do online. Not only use the same email for just about everything, but also, like, she'll click on things she's not supposed to click on and sign up for stuff. When she was living with me, I had to get her out of the situation where this weird Facebook game took all her fucking information. It's like, you gotta stop clicking on stuff, Ma. And you realize you're using the same email for just about everything. So anybody that wants to track you digitally and track the shit you do will be able to do it easily. So when I think about the fact that some people think that he said it, but they don't want to look back, so they go, well, we don't know if he said it. If he didn't, it's going to be a lawsuit. CNN is pretty much in Trump's pocket still. The man who owns it is still best buddies with Donald Trump. So I don't think they would have put that out about Mark Robinson if they were like really into protecting Mark Robinson. And I think what he doesn't understand, being black adjacent to the GOP, like a lot of them are finding out, Candy Owens ended up getting demonetized. A lot of these loud motherfuckers who are pro-MAGA or pro-GOP are finding out the hard way. When the chips fall down, they'll stop calling you Martin Luther King on steroids, which is so fucking offensive. I had to just pack it away in my brain so that I didn't go to 100 with my anger. But they'll leave you standing by yourself. Because there's no loyalty with those people at all in the GOP. It's every man, woman for themselves. And if you fuck up like George Santos had to learn the hard way, you're on your own. They will wash their hands of you.
And here's the kicker. As soon as he loses, he's not going to run again, which everybody's celebrating.
Yeah.
the really good thing is everybody who hasn't denounced him and who has tried to suck his ass in order to get a job within the White House. RFK Jr., I'm looking directly at you right now, you stupid, slimy little snake.
Yeah, roadkill, as I'm going to keep calling him, because he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a fridge full of roadkill? Me, motherfucker, that's weird.
Yeah. Roadkill Cafe, you kill it, we grill it. No, that's not what happens here.
At all.
That's not what happens here. So these people that are going to be they're openly stating, like, Ice Cube, you're going to have a lot of egg on your face when he loses, and everybody's going to be like, really?
Yeah.
Really, you did that?
Yep.
Now you have to live with that.
Weird ass Simon. A lot of them don't care because they don't feel like they would be hurt either way. And that's what troubles me. And while I know last week, because like I said, I needed a mental break, the Janet Jackson stuff offended a lot of people because she parroted something that she probably heard being regurgitated by her circles, because she still is close with Jermaine Dupri and a lot of people in the industry. And there are a lot of famous people who want to protect their ends, so they'll feed these celebrities this bullshit about Kamala Harris. And she made the mistake of parroting it and then issued an apology. And what I've been stressing with people is I don't get my political advice from actors, actresses, singers, or athletes unless they've shown me they've done the work in politics long enough. They don't even have to fully agree with me, because as much as I can't stand Ice Spice, she's been a dedicated MAGA for a while, so I know it's not an act anymore. I don't like it. Yeah, Amber Rose too. I don't fuck with either one of them, but at least I can't say about them that they're not real about that shit. So as much as I don't like it, at least they're real. What I took from Janet saying that was she's not connected to this shit. She should be, but she's not. So I've even said on Twitter, and I was joking about it, but I was kind of serious. I even dialed back going after Candace Owen or Nina Turner, as I call them, five head and no edges normally, because I'm tired of seeing black women be dragged, even when they're on the side of the fence that I don't fuck with, in the mud with people who want to fucking take us back to slavery, even if they look like us. Because I'm tired of disrespect of black women. We are the women that put men on the moon. I had a whole rant about that earlier because we finally got the Hidden Figures movie, but there are people in this country that still don't understand that the reason why we had that moon landing was because of calculations and the work of 4 black women. We invented things like we wouldn't have the ring cam if it wasn't a sister from the fucking, I believe she was from the Bronx or one of the boroughs in New York that was tired of people breaking in and developed the security camera. We are at the forefront in our country for a lot of inventions that we couldn't get patents for back in the day because black people weren't considered people back then. So you gave it to Eli Whitney and Edison and other people who were like, let me take your invention, sign that patent in my name, but you'll get a kickback, and sometimes they didn't. And this is why Black history is so important, because there are still people learning that the whole reason why we had successful space travel and the moon landing was because of 4 black women. And we are still fighting as women to get into STEM, get into technology, get into science, and especially Silicon Valley, because they still want to tell us we're less than. I could go on for hours about that.
We're going to definitely podcast about that, because that's definitely a juicy one. As far as the Janet Jackson thing is, I have 2 points. One, her publicist convinced her that she was going to be in harm's way if she ever had to deal with Biden.
Which is crazy to me. So
there was like this very weird thing that there was that spin that was put on things. And that was back when Obama was in office.
Wow.
It was a very weird thing that had happened. So the information that Janet has been given, I'm not saying that she shouldn't fact check. I am saying she should do her own fact checking. She trusts her circle.
Yeah.
And she should be able to trust her circle.
Yep.
They misinformed her about something. And at the exact same time, she's dealing with Tito's loss.
Yeah.
There are two huge situations going on.
Exactly.
You just lost another family member. And, sorry, I'm looking at you on my screen. Sorry, I
no, it's okay. You're good.
I'm cutting Janet some slack.
Same.
Because this is not her wheelhouse.
No.
We know that she's never been a political standby. She's not the one that's like, she's not Mark Ruffalo. Ruffalo, you know that he's going to talk environmental stuff. You know Susan Sarandon is always going to talk Amnesty International stuff. Like, you know certain ones are going to always have their voice.
Yvette Nicole Brown as well. Like, I follow her on Twitter. She follows me, and we share a lot of stuff. She is a very, like, and when I want to talk, yeah, exactly. And the thing that being said, and that's why I feel people need to understand, Janet has never been immersed in the culture, not since she was small. She's been living a fairly charmed life. Not that she hasn't had stuff, but she's removed for it. Because even though they grew up in Gary, Indiana, Joe wanted them away from that life. It was always the Jacksons' goal to become entertainment royalty, and they did. And throughout the years, while she did grow up, like most black families, after a while, when you have that amount of fame and fortune, you do start to pull away from certain things. And all the Jacksons went through that struggle. Look at what Michael did to himself. For the longest time, people wanted to clown on him, but you don't understand the psychological damage of knowing that you're talented in America, but people still view your blackness first. And he struggled with that. And that's why I didn't mock the skin stuff, because while he wanted to push it as Revitiligo, most of us understood that he was struggling with his identity. Hard time. And by the time he started to realize that it didn't matter, he was so deep within the celebrity culture that it took him from us before he even got to really redeem his roots. Because he's beloved still globally. You could still talk about Michael Jackson to the younger generation and they know his shit. He is forever a legend. But the man struggled with his identity because, I tell it all the time, fame is a curse. People think they want fame until they get it. Because you have to change yourself to be accepted with fame. That's why I say as a writer, I want people to remember my work. I really don't want them to know me. I'm an introvert. I don't want people to know me on that level. Because I had to click off YouTube earlier because they're already putting out little shorts about the cause, Tito's death. And I did the same thing with Matthew from Friends. I don't want to know these deep details about celebrities' deaths. It's twisted to me. They just lose their humanity to people. It's okay to talk about stuff that we would get offended if it was one of our family members. But the Jacksons are expected to just constantly have that done to them. And like I said, I just don't like treating people like they're not people just because they're famous. You know? But I will drag a fool. Like you see here who we're about to talk about. I just, there's no words for me with JD Vance. I never liked the dude. The hillbilly elegy shit irked me because you could tell it was coming from a place that didn't really understand the hillbilly culture and was just romanticizing certain things and vilifying certain things to make a profit. And then he carpetbagged his way to Ohio where their politics are already fucking problematic. Looking at you, Jim Jordan. Looking at you, Governor, who covered up that awful derailing as much as possible. And the people there are still suffering from that environmental disaster. So Ohio politics is already fucking sketchy. And to have this idiot be a senator for them, a junior senator at that, people are trying to act like he's so seasoned, and he's just problematic. So when Trump said, this is going to be my VP pick, we all were like, what? Why? Did you talk to this man? And then you get clips like this, and other clips I'm going to show, where, he gasses Trump up. He knows how to social climb. And that's a problem. Ohio is run by some, serious essay apologists, definitely. Yeah. that Ohio University scandal still haunts me because so many people knew. And it wasn't the only one. The Sandusky scandal with Jerry Sandusky literally molesting young players. They covered that shit up for years. And that's why Coach Paterno, who used to be we had like pictures of him in our house because my family was big on state games and regular football games. That shit came right down in my family's house because the man was like, yeah, he's dead now. Let's not bring it up. And it was like, you stained your legacy going to bat for a man who was literally abusing players. I no longer have respect for you at all. It's sad because Sandusky didn't just take out his reputation. He took out Joe Paterno's reputation for me, point blank. Yeah. It is insane, Beans. I lost a Facebook friend after it came out because I went ONN about it because she loves that football team and you can't put football over the fact that this man abused his power and trust. And there's a whole team of gymnasts because of what happened at Ohio State, including our GOAT, that forever have to live with the trauma of being abused by that fucking Nacer guy. And it's just like, I get pissed at the shit people look away from but claim to be moral. But I do.
That over 3,000 that he's.
Yeah. He should never see the end of that prison. They should bury him on prison grounds so that his spirit is trapped in that penitentiary, as far as I'm concerned. Because he sentenced all his victims to a life sentence of struggling with being survivors of that. And that's why when I seen that Ohio went for JD Vance in any way, shape, or form for politics, you question why these people don't want better credentialed people being their politicians. You know, exactly, Beans, under it. But we're going to play this first. Yeah, go ahead, Pix.
Sorry, all I was going to say is they reflect what they support and what they prop up.
Yeah. It's a mirror. And hi, Nala. I see that baby behind you. She's so cute. That's our kitty co-star. But we're going to play this clip to just show the wishy-washiness of Vance. And I got a couple of others. And then we're going to get to a Steve Shives video because he point blank puts out the problem with his rhetoric.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the Huffington Post? No, this was the one you put up, Chicks.
The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
So he admits, because Kamala Harris is not getting hammered because she's keeping things factual, and she ain't lactose intolerant like Trump, that he needed to make up a story to get people's, like, this doesn't even make sense. So you made up a lie about Haitian immigrants, and I'm calling them Haitian Americans because need I remind you that once somebody successfully immigrates and becomes naturalized, they're American citizens yet again. So we need to stop with this whole immigrants are different people when they're American citizens. So he's shitting on Haitian Americans in Ohio, saying that they're eating dogs and cats, which he knew was a lie, to get the stories of Ohioans out there? How does the... Can you make that make sense, Pix? Because I can't.
He is getting funded openly by Peter Thiel.
Yeah, that motherfucker.
But privately by the Proud Boys.
Yep.
He will never be able to convince me otherwise. He is a raging racist white supremacist.
Yep.
I believe that OSHA and his children
props
are going to be pawns. And not only have they already started to be pawns, he is going to go so far as how do I put this?
He tokenizes his family.
The idea of old Hollywood. There is the like Rock Hudson had to hide his sexuality, so he had a beard.
Yeah.
OSHA is his non-racist beard.
Yeah.
There you go.
His get out of racism free card, as I used to say on Twitter.
Yeah.
And
he can claim, oh, well, I've got this, I have an Indian born, like an immigrant wife, so I love immigrants. No, you don't.
No. And then I got another clip that I'm going to play where he defends Laura Loomer, who literally went full racist against VP Harris. And it's like, my guy, you cannot do this. You cannot say that you're for Indian Americans when it's regard to your wife, but shit on her entire culture because she's okay being disconnected, like Nikki Haley, which we know that's not your real name, Nikki. We know it's not. But act like it's okay because this is the person you're running against. That level of racism and bigotry. And it's like I said, somebody in a multi-ethnic relationship myself, I would not allow my partner to disrespect my culture, period. There's just no, he knows better than that. He understands that he didn't grow up around black people a lot. And trust me, we live in the town he grew up in. And basically, there ain't a lot of people that look like me at all. You can count on your hands and probably have like 3 fingers left. And I'm not even joking about that. People are friendly, but you sometimes still get looks like, oh. But with him, because we've been best friends for 20 years, together for a decade now, he knows that you are not going to treat me like I'm one of the good ones. You're not going to treat me like I'm somehow different than my people. And he has never made me feel like that. And it's because he understood that getting with me meant you were going to learn about my culture. Because I am my culture. I didn't strip my culture to be with him. And that's why I used to get mad and side-eye people like Candy Owen. Because she felt she had to do that for that white acceptance. And it was like you didn't have to. A man that can't love your authentic you, whether he is the same culture as you or not, is not worth it. But you can't tell people who are lost that they're lost. They have to figure that shit out themselves. And JD Vance and his wife, I don't think he's lost. I think he is, like you said, using her as a prop to cover, and a beard to cover his real side. And not just with couches, the whole bigotry and racism stuff.
Yeah.
But she's also that kind of immigrant that realizes that white adjacency is more important than her culture. We've seen it with Elaine Chao as well, Mitch McConnell's wife. And it's just sad. Right. But I'm going to play a little bit, going to play a little bit more of this thing, because when Dana Bash asked him to clarify, he doubles down.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created.
I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Sorry about that. I was also banning that weird bot because I told you we don't need to be famous. But the fact is, you were trying to do damage control because your idiot running mate on a national debate stage said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. I heard it on the TV. You can't tell me it's different. They're doing it, and it's like, okay, old man, yelling at clouds. The fact of the matter is, yous are the ones that decided that this story was going to be worth embarrassing yourself on a national level. Yous are the ones that decided that it was more important to be right in a situation that you were not right in. And let me, before I get to Steve Shives, get to this one. that you clipped as well, Pix, because I think it really is a great mashup from the Lincoln Project on what the fuck is wrong with that. And she's not in charge of the whole, so the whole policies argument really is BS. But that's how they do. It's kind of like what's going on in Girl World again. The people keep lying and saying lies over and over to try to make people believe their lies, and it's infuriating because it all comes down to we could never, so we don't want anybody who can do it to feel like they can. So we'll make lies on their name. We'll make sock accounts and lie and continue to harass people because we can't win the fair way. We can't make our own channels and cultivate our communities, so we gotta do shit like this. And this is what the GOP does too. And I'm not shocked that a lot of the people that I just will holler, like the hit dogs they are kind of MAGA and MAGA adjacent, have expressed the same kind of views. Because shit birds do really flock together. But this Lincoln Project clip was really good. It's only 15 seconds, and I definitely want to play it. Let me make this a little bit full screener there.
There have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say,
if I have to create stories, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana.
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dog.
That face, like, oh snap! I done fucked up. And
that
yeah, and I have to try to walk it back and try to make it sound credible by saying, you were letting Kamala Harris coast and we weren't getting out our word about policy. We're in accusing American citizens, whether they immigrated here or not, of eating pets, gonna highlight people's policies or our high-end stories. You see, they try to make illogical shit sound logical, and to anybody with a brain, you're going to go, no. None of that made any sense. What the fuck are you talking about? And I know how do you say you're intelligent when you use cuss words? It's been scientifically proven that a lot of intelligent people use cuss words. I don't care what you like about my language.
One of the things that they've actually realized and they've been able to prove is people who are not inhibited by sorry, I can hear myself.
Okay.
By the word fuck and other things fuck adjacent.
Yeah.
When they're not afraid of using those words, it opens up their mind to be able to be creative and use their imagination for other explanations. So people that have to skirt around and say shoot or even shoot is too much. Blarney, and okay, well, you're wasting your time using your imagination on this when you could actually be expounding on the actual conversation. You could, just say the word fuck and keep going.
Exactly.
Just keep going. There's so much more. As far as the lying about the stuff, the fact that it just reminds me of a very, very, very old Simpsons one. And it was, again, Abe Simpson. And it was, I saw it on television.
Yes.
So it has to be real. And that was 1989.
Yeah.
The idea that Trump is now saying the exact same thing again and again and again. I saw it on TV. It's real. Well, the city commissioner, everybody has flat out said, this does not exist.
Yeah, this did not happen.
This didn't happen. And the person that actually did put it out there, which does have connection, she's a racist, but the Proud Boys and Russia were also hand in hand. Yep. Blah, 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 that kind of thing. So there's a bunch of different questions about Laura Loomer getting information from Russia.
Yeah.
Which is getting information from the Proud Boys.
It's a really shitty trail for real.
And the fact that she I don't even want to assume that they're doing anything, because it doesn't even need to be that way. Like, I don't need to think about them having an affair. It doesn't matter. The fact that she's on the plane and she went to the 9/11 memorial service when she claims that it was an inside job, like,
that pissed me off.
There, like,
exactly. And speaking of which, before we get to Steve Shives, because that brings up this one that we should cover before we get to Steve Shives, because honestly, the fact that he brought her there was bad enough to me, but the fact that nobody wants to check her on her racism, including this clown. And this is another quick clip that you pulled about him responded to her racism against VP Harris.
I don't think that it's insulting for anybody to talk about their dietary preferences or what they want to do in the White House.
That's what JD Vance said after being asked about Laura Loomer, a far-right woman close to Trump, saying the White House will smell like curry if Kamala Harris wins in November, a clearly racist jab at Harris's Indian heritage. JD Vance is married to an American Indian woman with whom he has 3 kids. I can't help but wonder how they feel when he encourages racism to defend Trump and
they disconnected. They don't care.
Own family. Vance added,
whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive.
Fried chicken, another blatantly racist jab, this time at Harris's black identity. Back in 2016, Vance said that Trump makes people I care about afraid, immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. But he's changed his tune all for Trump. Now he's joined Trump in making people afraid and making racism acceptable. But that's just what Trump requires of those close to him. He requires them to stay loyal to only him. Those who have the courage to stand up for what they believe are pushed aside as Trump is against them. How will Vance defend your family if he doesn't even have the courage to defend his own?
He won't. And the thing that troubles me the most is I argued with a noble Negro on Twitter yesterday when he put out Kamala's Indian family, a beautiful family pic of her with her mom and her aunties, and said, you think they're having fried chicken, collard greens, and cornbread and Kool-Aid on Sundays? And it was like, motherfucker. I know you like to play into the Negro stereotypes and your black MAGA, but you do realize that there are a lot of multi-ethnic black families. And I countered with the fact that some of us, while, yeah, we had chicken on Sunday sometimes, we also had traditional meals like pancit, lumpia, adobo, and other amazing cultural fusions because we have family members who are mixed. And it's just like, I don't understand why they are harping on her Indian heritage only, but they're trying to diminish her blackness. And while it might work with some in our community who are problematic anyway, the rest of us are like, you're not going to tell this black woman she's not black, and you're not going to tell this Indian American woman that she's not Indian, because she understands her cultural identities and she can embrace both. And it just trips me out because they always pull this shit to try to pull the divides. But JD Vance does not give a fuck about his family. His wife does not clearly give a fuck about her Indian heritage. They don't give a fuck that her husband took their sons to a fucking, like, NRA market thing where they were photographed at a table. And I know I had it a few Bonnet Chronicles ago. I hate putting that stuff up on my channel. But it was him and his son at a table with full-on Nazi memorabilia. And I don't give a fuck what excuse they want to make. Well, these were WW2 people, and they just wanted to... Nah. I seen the other shit they were selling. This went deeper than World War II. But we keep ignoring these... They're showing us who they are. What the... like I said, I don't understand why people want to look the other way. But I get it. We've done shit like this as a country for years. So it feels like an old shoe to just look away from the open-faced bigotry. And we got to get away from this. And that's why I appreciate when people lend their voice to the cause. And we got this video by Steve Shives. We probably won't get through all of this. But I wanted to, because you said you watched him before too. And I think it was... I think it was either you or Beans that had me up to him at first. And I watch his stuff on and off because he does Geek Take, he does sketches. But he's been serious about talking about American politics. And I just really liked his take on this Vance thing. So I'm going to start
I stopped watching for a while because But yeah, you were actually the one that was like, hey, like, there's a Steve Shives. And I'm like, he's still around?
Yeah.
Let me get back in. This is great.
So I'm going to play this, and we'll give our opinions on some of this stuff, because he feels strongly about this, and I don't blame him.
For the past 5 years or so, Springfield, Ohio has been home to a community of Haitian immigrants. These immigrants have taken jobs in technical fields and factories. Some have opened restaurants or started other kinds of small businesses. They have revitalized the economy and culture of what for many years was widely regarded as a dying city.
Yep.
Obviously, the situation is not perfect. There exist tensions between the immigrant community and the long-term residents of Springfield. But according to local officials, local residents, immigrant and non-immigrant alike, these are the sorts of problems that you would expect could be peacefully and productively resolved given enough time. And the overall effect of the Haitian immigrants on the town of Springfield has been positive for pretty much anybody who isn't a racist with an axe to grind.
Yep.
Enter a racist with an axe to grind.
There was a lot of attention, as you know, this week on former President Trump's baseless claims about migrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, claims you first shared online, Senator, earlier this week. Local authorities now say there have been no credible reports of migrants hurting pets or animals. And in fact, neo-Nazis are now taking credit, frankly, for pushing these rumors mainstream.
To pause that, because look at his face. He has absolutely no emotion to the fact check proving that not only was it a lie, but it's tied to literal neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Yeah.
And he's just blankly like, I'm going to smugly talk my way out of this. Yeah. The dirt face for me is more infuriating, because I know he's about to spout some dumb shit, but it's just like, how do you sit there when you've been literally caught in 4K being a fucking liar to spreading a lie about Haitian Americans? Because I'm tired of immigrants who are legally allowed to be here and are naturalized are Americans now. Point blank.
Why are you continuing to double and triple down on these baseless claims?
Well, two important points here, Kristen. First of all, I have heard firsthand from multiple constituents, people who made 911 calls a month ago, a year ago, who were making these complaints. I trust my constituents more than I do the American media that has shown no interest in what's happened in Springfield until we started sharing.
Drop those receipts, my dude. If they called you, you have recordings of them. If they wrote you, you have those letters. Drop them motherfucking receipts. Like, what were you going to say, Pix? Because it just makes me mad when he says that, knowing that he doesn't have to show it. He's got, yeah.
One of the things that I've actually looked into, like I'm very interested in the whole political thing of different countries and Canada and stuff, obviously. But,
yeah.
One of the things is governors, senators, everybody, they have to record.
Yeah.
And not just voice record. They have to take the name down. They have to be able, like, they actually do their due diligence every fucking phone call, JD Vance.
Yep.
Every single phone call that comes in there, it could be a bomb threat. It could be, we want to support you. We want to give you a donation. Could you please help me with my child's birth certificate because I need to get a passport? I need to get this. I need to do this. How about this? There's potholes on my road. All of these different things.
Yeah.
They have to record this shit.
And they get back
Vance
to you.
Knows that.
Yep.
And they have to be able to provide that information. No matter what, it is a federal crime if they do not provide that information. What he is stating is a bold-faced lie, and I am shocked that every other state, every other senator has not come forward and said, you need to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Because this is wrong. This is so wrong. It is off. It is illegal. It's immoral. It's unethical. Every single thing. He is doing things that are endangering the lives of his own constituents.
Yeah.
And that's the
whether they whether they vote for him or not. Yeah. One of the things, and I still have that letter from Senator Burr, and I'm sorry to interrupt you because you touched upon something that just sparked in my brain. Because the letter that he wrote me back after he helped me, and I thanked him for helping me with my son's passport issues, was it's not about whether you vote for me or not. You are my constituent, and this was my job. And while I don't like the stock scandal, and like I said, he's GOP, so I was never going to vote for him, he made it clear in that letter that it shouldn't matter what side of the fence I was on politically. I came to his office with a federal issue for my son's passport. And basically it was a state issue because North Carolina would have been the one that helped to issue it at that time. And as a constituent, it was his job to help. He has all of my phone calls on record. He has all of my letters on record, just like the Michigan governor here has some of the stuff that I've written to her and Senator Stabenow about. So I feel like people who aren't politically invested or don't understand civics could buy his lie about having these calls and people reaching out. But if he was truthful and didn't just admit that he made up the story, and that the story has ties for groups that really want to fuck us over anyway, he would show them receipts.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
He can link their names. It doesn't have to be their names shown.
Yeah.
Like this, that one person who deleted their Facebook thing, they have come forward to NBC, blah, 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 the whole thing. He could blank their names. He could redact things, and he could show this has been what was there. This is what was, and he could show the history of all.
Oh, Nala. She's like,
talking about cats getting eaten. Poor
baby. Poor baby. Yeah. And Beans, I agree. One thing Trumps can do is pick the dumbest of dumb fucks for VP. But Nala's like, is that man that's accusing people of eating us?
He hears me yelling at him all.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Hey, pretty. Look at her. She's adorable. It's like, I heard my name.
I did hear my name. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I love it. You sometimes you need that kitty palate cleanse like Swoop does, for real. Because it's so infuriating that he gets away with this. But I'm going to play a little bit more, Steve, before we wrap it up with our closing thoughts, because I know he's feeling the way we feel about this. Especially with the way he's so smug.
Cat memes on the internet, which is disgraceful that the American media ignored this town. And that's the most important part.
And yet, Senator, officials, the mayor, other local officials have said there's just no evidence of what you're saying, that it's baseless, those claims. Can't you just make your argument about immigration without making those claims, Senator? Why not just make an argument about immigration? Why do you have to delve into repeating these baseless claims that, again, Senator, have been repeated by neo-Nazis?
Kristen, I hear you saying that they're baseless, but I'm not repeating them because I invented them out of thin air. I'm repeating them because my constituents are saying these things are happening. I mean,
but there's no
yesterday,
evidence.
a video came out of a migrant 30 miles away eating a cat. Clearly, these rumors are out there because constituents are seeing it with their own eyes, and some of them are talking about it.
Senator, I have to say, though, that the mayor from Dayton in that video that you're talking about, and police chief responded forcefully to that new video you just referenced. They say there's absolutely no evidence to even remotely suggest that immigrants are eating pets.
There's one particular detail of this story that I've heard mentioned a time or two, but has not really been the focal point of the coverage of the fear-mongering and racism and xenophobia being directed at the Haitian community of Springfield, Ohio. And I wanted to take a few minutes and really focus on it here because I think it speaks to the broader Republican view of immigration, and specifically the Trumpian view of immigration, and why it's even scarier and even more dangerous than it first appears to be when you listen to people like JD Vance or Donald Trump rant and rave and lie and demonize immigrants. The Haitian community in Springfield is composed almost entirely of legal immigrants.
Yeah, Americans.
The line from Republicans for many, many years, especially since Trump first became a national figure, has been, we're only anti-illegal immigration. We don't have a problem with legal immigrants. It's the undocumented immigrants. It's the illegals that we have a problem with. If people want to come to this country, why, they're more than welcome. This is America. This is the melting pot. Just do it legally. It's not fair to the people who did it legally when these people come over the border without permission. We just want orderly, legal immigration. That has been their argument for years and years and years. The targets of this week of concentrated verbal attacks and vilification and demagoguery, the Haitian community of Springfield, Ohio, that has been wrongly and falsely attacked as a threat to people's pets, as eating geese out of the park, as spreading disease, immigrants spreading disease. There's a 2-word phrase to describe that: Nazi shit. The Haitian immigrants that have been the targets of all of that are legal immigrants. And the reason I underline that and bring that to your attention is to point out that it was never about undocumented immigration for the Republicans.
Nope.
That was just a cover. That was just their plausible deniability. That was just their way of introducing this, of bringing this to the mainstream and normalizing anti-immigrant sentiment.
And that right there. And I would suggest y'all go watch the rest of it, because Steve was fire throughout that. But as somebody who has studied history, especially American history, and not just my people's history, all American history, there was always that undertone when they did it to Chinese American citizens who immigrated here with the Yellow Panic, when they interned Japanese American citizens, and even some Filipino people who fought in World War II, mind you, when Vietnam happened. And I don't need to say how they've treated my people, including my indigenous ancestors and my black ancestors over the centuries. But we seem to vilify immigrants because they seem like a low-hanging fruit to just attack. And they always switch the goalposts. So, no, we just mean the illegals. They'll even get people who literally are 6 generations in with the immigration saying, no, it's just the illegals, when it's clear that that's not the case. They want all of you gone. But some of you are just so into the sauce thinking you're accepted that you don't realize that they're talking about you too. They're just patting you on the head as you parrot their fucking white nationalist narrative.
Yeah. Because there are shithole countries that they don't want people from. And the fact that Trump flat out does not understand that Venezuela and Haiti, not Asia, as Vance called it last week. He called it Asia.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which, do you have access to Google Maps? Like,
he doesn't have access to a brain.
But okay, that was the one thing that I was going to say about Vance, is he went off on that lady who in 2007 did the rambling map conversation during one of the Miss Universe, or it was a pageant.
Yeah, that one girl, they memed her the heckin' back. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had ideations of self-deletion. And when he was told that, he was like, well, I'm sorry that it happened, that she had that, but I'm not apologizing for what I said.
Of course not. He can't be wrong.
You double down on being a douchebag and expect people to like you. So like everything that comes out of his mouth is just repugnant. And the fact that he's now dressing exactly like Trump, just...
He's a chameleon. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and who was it that somebody called? I think it was Pete Buttigieg.
No problem, Beans. Yeah.
Pete. I'm just going to call him Pete.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know him really, really well. Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
Pete B. He was the one that said that he was Trump's chameleon. I think it was either him or Shapiro.
Yeah.
And I would love Gretchen and Pete to be in 2032.
Big Gretch.
I think I put you the list of the things I would do for that woman. I am so in love with Gretchen Whitmer. I always say Whitmore. I always say
No, she wouldn't mind. She knows that she is so down to earth too. I loved interacting with her office, and I still like being able to write her from time to time. When you have senators, congresspeople, governors, mayors who care about their constituents, no matter where we come from, they're not going to stand for this. And what I can't stand about JD Vance is, instead of taking the L for this, because this was a big L, it's an embarrassing L, he's still running with it like, I could turn it into a win. I'm still the smartest guy in the room. And it's like you demonize a whole constituent of people, man. American people. And it's like Steve Shives said, it ain't about legal or allegedly illegal, because those are asylum seekers. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. But even if they're crossing the border to come over here, they still have the right to legally seek asylum. Whether they get it or not is another story. But asylum seekers have rights to apply for asylum coming over here. And when you call nation shitholes like Trump did, when you want their sweat equity, you will take their brain power. And it's like so many have said, these people revitalized Springfield, Ohio, which was only known because of Simpsons after a few decades. It was literally a city that was struggling with, almost became a ghost town with urban decay.
Yeah.
And these people came in, brought their tech knowledge, brought their cultural knowledge for restaurant ownership and stuff, worked the factory jobs that people are saying they're taking their jobs, but they think they're too good to work in a fucking factory, unlike their grandparents and great-grandparents did. Because they all want to be billionaires like fucking Trump allegedly is, instead of working hard for the American dream that has been dying on life support for years now, because everybody wants to be rich and famous without having the talent for it. Nobody wants to work the jobs that keep our economy flowing anymore, because people look down on that shit. So you get these immigrant families that are like, no, we're not too good to work these jobs, because not only do they pay well, but they will give our family a chance that we didn't have back in our native home. And this is our home now. So of course we want to make this place better. And if you think anybody's making America great again, like Trump, ignoring that the people who are really making it great are immigrants, you're a racist. I don't care if you want to hear it or not. You're a fucking racist.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's immigrants. Like, are they stealing the jobs, or are they wasting the taxpayers' money?
Yeah.
So which one is it?
It really is a conundrum.
Which one is it, Trump? Yeah. Seriously, which one is it?
And
it's completely different if they're from Slovenia.
Yeah.
So let's give them an Einstein
citizenship. Yeah. Because, I mean, she's willing to be naked. She's the first lady I ever saw fully without clothes on. And it's mind-boggling.
Up there with the Venus de Milo, and she's up there with, the statue of David. Come on, she just put that out there.
Yeah.
She thinks that she is on the same level as that kind of art.
Yeah.
This is me gagging.
I know.
I have two final points about the whole Haitian thing.
Yeah.
He went to New York, and on Long Island, the Haitians showed up, the Haitian community showed up and said, we don't eat cats, we vote.
Yeah. Between childish cat women and immigrants. Yeah.
And the really, really awesome thing about Florida is he won by 370,000 votes in Florida. There are over 570,000 Haitian legal immigrants who can and will be voting.
I told y'all, I went to school down there, and my friend and her family were some of the sweetest people. I know the Haitian community are hardworking, dedicated to their family people. So when you have assholes like this try to vilify all the work that they put into our country, their country, because they had to do it the hard way. They didn't get a pass. They weren't born here like I was. They literally took the test for citizenship, knowing more shit than a lot of average Americans know, and passed to become naturalized citizens here. They are Americans. So when I see people try to, it's not been slow. Like I said, anybody who knows American history has seen these tactics before. Separate them from the actual Americans. When it doesn't take much for you to not be an actual American anymore. Looking at you, Italian Americans who think you're still on the white bus. Irish Americans. German Americans, who JD Vance has words about y'all too in crime. They will look for anybody to scapegoat if you are not what they consider an American. And that is why we said their rhetoric is dangerous. Don't sleep on it just because you're thinking they're attacking just black and brown folks. Because your number will be up next. Just like that poem. First they came for.
Exactly.
I don't understand why people do this. But we will continue this conversation along with other stuff. I've seen that Mahalia has been going on the tour talking about Afghan girls. And I definitely want to do a retrospect about women's rights as we get closer to November and hopefully make a history. Because I feel like women are treated as second-class citizens, and we would go another hour if I go on my spiel. So I just want to thank you, Pix, for sitting in with me again. You are a lovely co-host, and I love having you here to bounce ideas off of. I cannot wait till we start our podcast, too.
Oh, babe, I know. I'm so excited. And she finally settled down. She's good now.
Well, we're not playing those mean, awful people, liars right now either.
As soon as he showed up, she was like feral, and she was like around. And like once he stopped being on the screen, she went away. It was she does not like him.
I don't
should tell you.
Yeah.
Even a Canadian cat doesn't like JD Vance.
Exactly. They can sense evil for real. But we are gonna wrap this up, y'all. We will be back on Friday if your schedule allows, definitely. And we will have a lot more topics to talk about. Thank you so much, everybody sat in, Beans, all the lurkers, everybody who's going to watch the YouTube replay when we get it up. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we will see you on Friday night.